But joining us now to talk about Apple and tech overall is Gene Munster from Deepwater Asset Management. Gene, it's great to have you on. And let's start right there.
Hello.
Big week for Apple. What were your takeaways?
Well, Morgan, that clip, you just realize what a great salesperson Tim Cook is. I remember back when Steve was with us and he would just be the master and people said, Tim just could never be that salesperson. So fun to see Tim over the years evolve into that role. And today is, of course, a huge day for Apple when it comes to sales, taking those pre-orders. And this is something that over the years I've closely studied what happens with these lead times. And what we saw early in the days, the lead times quickly extend out to 1 to 2 weeks. And as of about the last half hour, some of them come back in. I've checked sites throughout the U.S. and Europe and Japan. And I think the takeaway is that this trajectory is probably pretty consistent with kind of the initial from last year. Now, it is very difficult, of course, to directly connect between what these lead times are and ultimately what the demand is going to be. But I think it's overall just a great setup for what the iPhone. Keep in mind, new form factor means more sales. Last time they changed the form factor, sales were up 52%. That was 10 years ago, Morgan. It's been 10 years since we've had a big form factor change. I think that's a big potent push, and I think we're going to see kind of the fruits of that in these numbers coming forward.
Yeah, I mean, a few hours before Apple unveiled this new iPhone lineup, I had sat down with the CEO of AT&T, John Stankey, and he basically had said he didn't expect anything earth-shattering from Apple. That a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but saying, he wasn't expecting a super cycle. So super cycle perhaps aside, does the fact that you have a new form drive sales perhaps higher and more strongly than the street is expecting?
That's my central takeaway here. So I put super cycle. I would consider that about a 15% growth.
Okay.
This past year, it's going to be up a couple percent for fiscal 25. The street's looking for iPhone to be up 5% in fiscal 26. I think it's going to be up closer to 10%. So I think it's kind of below that super cycle hurdle, but clearly above where the street is at. And again, I come back to that form factor change. I think that is a potent impact in terms of why people are upgrading, but also a very mundane piece to the whole equation. Of course, this upgrade pool, if we rewind the tape, a year ago, I was talking about how great fiscal 25 was going to be based on this 2021 pool. That's the year that it increased by 36%. Expected all that to have a big impact last year. We started to see it in the March and June quarter. June, adjusting for tariffs, iPhones were up 11%. It was up 2% in March. And so we started to see that acceleration. When you put the combination of a new form factor together with what's happened with this pool, it is essentially manufacturing runs. And what Apple is going to manufacture is upside over the next few quarters. So important to remember that upgrade pool.
Sounds good. I want to move on to the next topic with you, and that's OpenAI becoming a for-profit company. Could almost become reality. That's after cutting a preliminary deal with Microsoft last night. I realize we're talking about a company that's still privately held, but it's so massive. What are your expectations for OpenAI, and perhaps also what's the read-through to Microsoft on this deal news as well?
Yeah, you said lots of news in tech this week, and actually I think this is probably the biggest news. This is the mechanics basically changing the partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI, allowing this essentially the vehicle is created where they can go public. Now, from the highest level, we expected all this to happen. So in some ways, it's checking a box. In other ways, it unlocks what is going to be, I think, a breathtaking move for this company as a public company. And the tender offer is going to have the valuation right around $500 billion. And they've reported to investors that their goal by 2030 is to be $200 billion in revenue. Now, a few months ago when they reported to investors, their 2030 goal was $175 billion. So I just want to put in a context. As they've been reporting to investors, the expectations have been going up. But if we can assume that the multiples on these are similar to what they are today. It's an average on these big tech software is somewhere around 8 to 10 times revenue. You can get to a market cap of about $1.5 trillion.
Wow.
And so we're talking about a 2-3x move higher here. And so they have what happened with Oracle, huge endorsement in terms of Oracle's belief in OpenAI.
Yeah.
And this is just going to be a really fun company once it's public.